This is Brooke Hamby with Cultural Creatives. I decided to do a 100-day project where I would find people who decided to create their own best life. They made the hard choices and the easy choices to get where they needed to be, to choose what was right for them, to be free and wild, making their own decisions. So today we're meeting with Amelia Galvas, and she owns Avery Broom Company. Her story is incredible. I am just amazed. I met her a couple of weeks ago, and I just had to share her story. And she is ready to come on with us now. Welcome, Amelia Galvas. Amelia, hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this with me. I'm just excited
Thanks
to
for
talk
having
to
me.
you. The reason I'm doing is because there's a lot of people out there who are on the precipice of change. They want to make these choices, whether it's just like one step or many, just to choose something that feels right in their heart, that makes them feel good and
Mhm.
lights them up. And sometimes it's a career, but a lot of times it's not. It's just a way of being in the world. How did you begin? You shared a little bit with me, but how did you begin going from you were an art teacher from that to owning Avery Broom Company, which is you create these beautiful, amazing works of art.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Um, well, I've always wanted to do something with art, and being an art teacher at the time was a really great way to do that because I could teach littles art, sort of spread the seeds. And I sort of came to a crossroads and thought, mm, is this something that I really want to be doing? Am I doing this for me, or am I doing this because I think that I should be doing this? Yeah, I have artists in the family, so it wasn't don't do art, but there were ideas in their mind of what art I should be looking, corporate art, teaching art, never my own art, because that's so subjective that
Right.
I just,
Yeah.
I just not do well or do really great, but the odds are so little. Um, when I met the broom maker, Danny, at first I kind of thought, well, that's a, that's like a goal that I would have never even thought in a million years that I would have set for myself. Um, much less where I am today. I mean, if you had told me, and I sort of went to his workshop with my almost like with my hat in my hand, like, okay, here I am. I'm not teaching art anymore, and let's try this, I guess. And if anything, it got me up on his mountain, and that was nice and quiet, and that was a lot of time to think. So while I was thinking, nobody's making brooms, and nobody thinks about the old crafts. And when I taught art, I specifically did not use computers or any technology, which the kids hated because they were learning, like, how to make screen prints the old fashioned way, but I think that's kind of important. So when I went to Danny's, it was interesting because he did a similar thing. He's a retired archaeologist, and he had me clean his garage shop and his shop. Um, and while I was doing that, he would explain to me, okay, this is such and such, and this comes from this tribe, and they do this for these reasons, and this is where they're from. And I realized that all of a sudden I was learning about Appalachian history the way it's passed down, just through everyday work, or I learned so much that my husband bought me a great course for Christmas. And I was so excited, and I sat down and I watched it, and I was like, what? This guy's leaving out so much stuff. But it was
Wow.
great, I mean, I couldn't have learned that in a classroom at all.
Wow. Yeah.
Pardon me. So as he then taught me how to make brooms. And it was kind of like a Mr. Miyagi situation. Like, okay, now you're ready. Now you know everything that there is to know about broom corn and sticks and tobacco sticks versus regular sticks, and how many rows to plant to make it. And it was, and I didn't realize it, but he taught me the way that I had always taught. He was sneakily teaching me. So by the time I made a broom, I mean, my gosh, it's like, it was falling in love. I mean, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I'm taking 3 materials. I'm using my strength and my smarts and, time. I'm making this useful thing that can last somebody a lifetime. I mean, that's magic. I was sold. I mean, really,
Wow.
and I said, I want to do this forever. And I want other people to do this forever, because this is the most empowering thing that I have felt. I mean, making a broom was probably one of the most empowering things I had ever done. And if I could, and it wasn't even like, I just knew that I had to teach other people how to use that strength and that finesse and that sort of, I don't know. It's weird. It's hard to explain. I must sound crazy talking about my love for the brooms.
No, because that's exactly the people that we're talking to, because I'm talking to, I say we, it's me. But no, that's completely why I'm talking to you. I'm finding people to inspire other people, that it's the hard choices that you make to leave something to run towards something that you just love. So that's the biggest thing. So I'm going to recap. Is you decided to take a broom making class, which is, Danny was someone who learned it traditionally for generations from living in Appalachia.
He learned it from his grandmother, and then took me on as an apprentice.
Okay.
So, and it was very traditional apprenticeship. Like, I was his helper for a good 6 months before I even got close to the broom corn. Like, it was, wow, this is how this does this. This is how this does this. Now that you know how to do all these things, put your feet on the stick, and it's going to be easier to spin it now that you know how to do this.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, it was cool. I'm really lucky. That was a stroke of luck.
It was very Miyagi. I think it's more synchronicity. So let's talk about the synchronicity. How did you find out to go to that first step to learn about Danny in the first place?
Well, after I was done with teaching art, I had tried a couple other jobs. They just didn't work. It just wasn't, and then what do I want to do when I grow up? I mean, this is, right. At that time I was 44. I mean, in women years, shoot, we may as well take up knitting and live in a cabin somewhere. But that wasn't really an option. I felt like I was hiding behind being an art teacher for so long. I could sort of vicariously live through watching those little pre-Kers stop making little headlings and then put a neck on their head, then put feet on it. So, why was and my oldest daughter said, "Why are you second guessing yourself, Mom? You've done art your whole life. Just go do art and don't overanalyze it. Just do it." And I guess that's what I've been telling them their whole lives. So I thought, well, I guess I should probably listen to my own advice. And to be honest, that first show, I was terrified. I didn't think I was going to sell anything. And the location of my first show, I realized very quickly where I'm going to be best received selling brooms. And usually places where people have brooms in the family, baskets in the family, fiber artists in the family. I'm not really a big draw because they've been around that their whole lives. And it was a little discouraging, Yeah. My next show was at a school, and I didn't realize it was just a school show. I was the only outside vendor there, and the brooms did not fit at all with anybody selling there. And nobody knew me. And this woman walked up, and she was so excited, and she bought 3 brooms, and I was trying not to have a heart attack the entire time. And she left, and I didn't sell another broom the rest of the day.
But you kept going, like you didn't.
Well, I kept going. It was, yeah. Well, what I found was that eventually you slowly start to meet people and you slowly start to sort of be introduced. And that was a world that I didn't know. I just knew the teaching world. And so I didn't know any of the local craftspeople or artists. So the next show was at Imes, and that was great. And I met people who I'm still friends with today. And there's sort of like I have like all these advisors everywhere, like, hey, you might want to order your Christmas supplies now, stuff like that, stuff that people you don't know, you think you're going to go hide in your workshop and make brooms for the rest of your life. And then half of it ends up being like FaceTime and the rest of the half of it ends up being social media. I just want to make brooms.
Right. It's that very much a balance of the things that you need to do to support who you are as an artist too. Mm-hmm. That kind of goes to my next question is, and it sounds like you've kind of already answered that, is like, what choices and transitions have you and did you need to make to go from, apprentice and learning how and to have your first, showing to now, which I see your works and I want to put them on the video too, to that. And it feels so solid to me. I know every day is different, but it sounds like you had to make the choices to put yourself out there.
Well, because that's, I was raised Irish Catholic. We are not taught to put ourselves out there. That is the absolute opposite of what we're supposed to be doing. So everything that I'm doing right now is just goes against the grain of, just don't put yourself, be humble. And I thought, this is ridiculous. Being humble is I feel like something's not right. The pandemic hit, and I think that was really helpful because I had to instantly switch to online, and it was online everything. And it's easier to say, hey, look at these fantastic brooms in the privacy of my own workshop, rather than being out in front of people I don't know saying, hey, look at my brooms. So I don't know if it would have gone a different way, but
right, that makes sense, because you have to doing it online, you're behind something, but you're still putting yourself out there. So
I pretend that I'm not.
Yeah. I see your social media presence, and I think it's wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what's been the best part, like the best thing about what you do now compared to where you were?
All of it. Oh my gosh, I love all of it. From the beginning to right now, every hard choice, every fast decision, everything. It's wonderful. Every aspect, the hard stuff and the easy stuff. And I mean, the hard stuff's really hard because I don't know anything about any of that. So it's been interesting. It's taught me an awful lot about an awful lot of stuff. But I love every second of it.
What advice would you give to other people who are, on the verge of taking that big step of either leaving a career or just doing something? I just got off a 100-day project with a lot of people, and they chose to do a 100-day project because it got them kind of going on something, anything, to step out of what they were doing to find more joy and to create a life that was really worth living for them. What advice would you give to people?
I'm so happy that you asked that. I started in the beginning of all of this when it was, dark and uncertain. I started doing one thing for myself a day, and it wasn't big at all. It was little things like washing my hands with warm water instead of cold water, like taking the time for the water to warm up. It sounds so stupid, but it was so little. And eventually that became more. And then eventually that became habit. And then eventually I found myself that I was really taking care of me. And once I was taken care of, then I was realizing that I was able to take those steps, and they are scary steps, and it's super scary. And I mean, you're putting yourself out there no matter what you're doing. And we all have our comfy little boxes, but gosh, get out of your box. I mean, really,
I've
and
never
even
heard
if you,
that before, that you like having someone take care of themselves a little bit at a time every day. That helps them become whole, really. Like,
you're nurturing yourself,
yeah, you have to nurture yourself.
and we don't nurture ourselves, and we need
Right.
to nurture ourselves.
Right. Nurturing ourselves every day kind of like opens you to trust yourself, really,
Uh-huh.
and to
Uh-huh.
know how to
You really
live.
learn a lot about yourself in the process.
Wow.
And you start really liking yourself. I mean, you start to really realize what a skewed, it's crazy. I
Wow.
highly recommend it. Get out of your box.
Well, yeah, because it's hugely impactful, because we have these view of ourselves that through our upbringing, through nobody's fault, is that we are not right or something. Whatever we were when we were 5, we were not. We were wild and fun and free, and then whatever circumstances pushed us into that box, and then we forgot who we were, and we didn't take care of ourselves. We thought we were wrong and
Absolutely.
bad. Yeah.
Yep.
So taking those small steps to take care of yourself, like, I love how you just said just washing your hands with a different temperature water to take care of your hands. Like, that's amazing.
And it was so small, and it's so small, and it's not anything. And even if you sit down and force yourself to read a magazine article, I mean, it's just could be a half a page article, but afterwards you're like, man, I feel refreshed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because you're doing it for you, and it's yours alone. you're not sharing it with anybody else.
It's like that.
It's very cool.
Yeah, just having like a little treating yourself every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of helps you become more who you are. Like, who you are is exactly right.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are so many things that so many people do and just amaze me at what they're able to do. And really, I found listening to other people's origin stories that usually there's a breaking point. There's something where it's, the rubber has to meet the road, and there's no, and if it feels like it's the end, it's probably the end. So
Right.
What a fantastic time to say goodbye and start a new beginning.
Right. It's like, there's no easy way to do it sometimes. And sometimes you just have to. And honestly, the pandemic has awakened a lot of people to know that with the life they're living, it's not the one they are meant to live. And so they're making those.
And I love that.
Yes.
I was so hoping that it would soften us just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, not even a lot. It doesn't even have to be a lot, just a little softness.
A little bit. Yeah. And I can tell you, all the people I'm talking to, yes. There's change, and people are making those choices to do it. And that's why I wanted to talk to you and other people. It's like, this is help for everybody to know that there are other people out there that have already done it. You made the change years ago. And so you can kind of like reach through the other side and say, here,
absolutely.
This is what you can do. Awesome.
And it's easier than it looks.
Yes.
It was like, I was almost disappointed how easy it was. Like, wait, the hard work, it's hard work, but it was like, oh, okay, well, that's it. Well, here we are then.
It's hard work, but an easy choice.
Yeah. It's a very easy
I guess
choice.
it's simple to make those choices, but then you also have to make all the other choices and not go back to anything. Not have those
not going back to anything, for sure.
Yeah, like you are an inspiration to others, and I really thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you. This is such an important message that so many people need to hear. I really honestly believe it.
I completely agree. Thank you. Yeah, I completely agree with you. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I was going to say broomtastic. I was trying to think of some kind of.
I love it. I say broomtastic all the time. My broomiversary is coming up on the 26th. My family's probably rolling their eyes about it, but
happy broomiversary, and I hope you have a broomtastic day there.
Thank you. You too.
And I hope everyone has a broomtastic day as well. And that was Amelia Galvas with Aviary Broom Company. And stay tuned. There's a few of her creations coming up. Until next time. Bye.